Hey there, Troy from Momentum Cycling. Just talking about sweet spot training and if it has a place in your training plan. So I prescribe, mostly to polarized training, where you're like 80% of the time below your aerobic threshold, 20% of the time above your anaerobic threshold. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't never be in between those. It is kind of referred to as no man's land, where you kind of get, too much pain for not enough gain. But when it comes to races, long rides, group rides, you're often forced to be in that kind of no man's land. So I do believe there's a time and place for maybe not as much tempo training, that kind of zone three, but sweet spot training, that high zone four, really close to but not over your anaerobic threshold or your functional threshold power. Um, it can pay off sometimes, because sometimes in a race, long group ride, you're just kind of forced to be in that long grind. So with sweet spot training, it develops your muscular endurance, your tolerance for long sustained efforts without going deep into the red. So yeah, there's a place for it. The negatives of it though is too much of it just builds up and accumulates the fatigue. It's a good way to build up your overall training load and your TSS load, but it's not always giving you those big training benefits. So, it needs to be used at different times in the season, different types of training, but not all the time. So that's kind of my feeling on sweet spot. When I prescribe sweet spot intervals, you'll see that they're just sub threshold, basically 90 to 98% of your FTP. And when you're doing those for long sustained efforts, that gets to be quite fatiguing, but can give you that benefit for, building upon so you can go deeper into the threshold and having that tolerance and muscular endurance to keep pushing there. Some of my intervals I do with more like shorter sweet spot toggles with more frequent short recoveries in between. And some of them are long sustained, 20, 30-minute efforts at sweet spot, where it does require that physical and mental fortitude to do it. But like I say, again, there's a time and place for it. So, and here's an instance in this workout where there's a time and place for it.